All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learning truth 100%. According to the Bible, also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophets, the servants scattered abroad the four corners of the earth. And shalom to the Akwaf, which are you sisters that are sincere, your children, shalom. And then today's video is going to be a video from the brother, the Hopeful Like 3. Basically, this video where you got this woman, she basically had this dream about basically, civil unrest and all chaos and hell breaking loose in America, Babylon the Great. And I'm going to actually go to a precept real quick where the Lord said that this would be taking place in the latter days, that you will be having men and women, having dreams, and prophesying basically of, basically the things that are to come, This is Acts chapter 2, verse 17 in the KJV, and it says, "And it shall come to pass in the last days," right, which we are in the last days, saith Yahweh, "I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams," right? And I'm going to go to Joel chapter 2, verse 28 in the KJV, right? And it says the same, "And it shall come to pass afterward, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions," right? So here it is. We basically got the young woman. She had a dream, of things that are basically to come in the near future, these visions that she been having, and you have a lot of people that have been coming out having these dreams and visions, people dreaming of the MOTB coming soon, people dreaming of all hell breaking loose in this place, America. The Lord is, putting it on these people's spirit, letting them know what's to come, man, So we're going to get into this video and basically, listen to what it is that she's talking about, and Lord's will get a few precepts and it be edifying. So with that being said, I'm going to get to the video. But before I start it, I'm going to play Fair Use on 1976 Copyright Act. Not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only.
We go inside to try to get important things out, but by that time, everyone was in chaos. Everyone was outside, just like in the movie trailers that people are coming out with right now. Everyone was outside. Everyone was aggressive, really mean, really rude, just desperate for answers. And another common theme.
Right. And you hear what it is that she basically said, that, basically this stuff caught everybody off guard. They wasn't expecting it. That's why she said people are going to be so angry. People just didn't know what was taking place, right? So I'm going to go to another precept just touching on that. This is 1 Thessalonians. And I'm going to start at chapter 5. And I'm going to go to verse 1 in the KJV, right? It said, "But of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you," right? "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night." Verse 3, "For when they shall say peace and safety," right? Because that's what you see everybody in this place, America, in that state of peace, man, thinking that they're safe. They're believing in the words of their president, Donald Trump. They're thinking things in this country won't get worse, that it's going to continue to stay on the up and hill. They see these tariffs and everything that's ultimately happening in this place, and they're still comfortable. They're at rest. They're at ease, right? They don't think nothing's bad is going to happen. But like this woman said, it's going to come when they least expect it. It's just going to be a sudden shift, and the Lord is going to change this place, America, for the worse, man, right? But it says, "Then sudden destruction cometh upon them," right? "As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." And that's what's going to happen upon these Babylonians, man. When the Lord brings forth all of these chaotic events, they're not going to be expecting it, because these people are not watching, man. They're not measuring the times diligently, knowing that we're in some very serious times, man. They're thinking everything is just normal. It's going to get back normal, that these times are going to overpass and that they're not going to have to worry about it, and things like that. But that's not what's coming, man. What's coming to this place is, evils like never before, man, which is what Yahweh Shai is going to bring upon this place, America, with the men of the Lord, starting with the apostles and the elders, a great millstone, and the men on down teaching the same doctrine, have been warning you people of what's to come to this place, right? And I'm going to go to a precept just touching on that, right? This is St. Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 21. This is red letter Lord Yahweh Shai speaking, who they ignorantly call Jesus. It says, "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And these are the times that we're coming into now, where you're about to have that tribulation, right? That time of chaos, that perilous times that it tells you about in 2 Timothy 3:1. And the last days, perilous times shall come, right? When you go into that word perilous, it goes into a time full of uncertainty, man, a time of chaos and a risky, hazardous time period. And that's what we're about to step into in this place, America, man. And that's what these people don't know is coming, right? Because if they did know what was coming, they will be trying to get right with the Lord. Mainly our people of the nation of Israel, you know, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. But they're not. They're just continuing going about living their day-to-day lives, not knowing that these times are fastly approaching, man, right? So I'm going to get into the video so we can finish listening to what it is the woman is saying. But yeah, these things are going to overtake these people like a thief, man. You know, they're not going to be expecting these judgments when they come forth because, like I said, everybody in this place, Babylon the Great America, you know, they're in that spirit of mirth, man. You know, having fun, YOLO, you only live once spirit, right? They're not looking at what's happening over there in the Middle East, seeing that prophecy is speeding up and things are fulfilling. No, they're not watching out for those things. Mainly our people, man. They're just, you know, caught up with everything else that's happening, you know, focusing on celebrity gossip, focusing on, you know, the Joneses and the Smiths and, you know, everything that's happening in the media, man. That's not important. You know, that's what our people's minds is glued to. That's why when the Lord does bring forth this change, right, these people are not going to be expecting it. That's why it's going to be so chaotic because the people are not going to know what the hell is going on. But the men of the Lord have warned you people, man, that these times were coming, you know. So I'm going to get back into the video.
Was that there was no power anywhere. There was no power. Buildings were on fire. Everyone's house was on fire. There was nowhere to hide. And I quote me thinking that in my dream. There was nowhere to hide. Down this.
Right. And you hear what she said, right? And I got to go to a precept just touching on that as well. She said basically, you know, it was nowhere to hide from the evil. It was just so chaotic, you know, everywhere. It was nowhere you could possibly go. And these are the times that we're coming into, right? This is Amos chapter 5, and I'm going to go straight to the point. I'm going to go to verse 19 on how, you know, chaotic is going to be out here in these times, man, right? It said, as if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. And these are the times that we're about to come into that is going to be so much chaos happening on all sides that wherever you turn, there's going to be danger, man. And this is why we're going to need Yahweh Shem Yahushua in these times. Because we know that we're not going to be able ultimately to make it through these times by ourselves. You know, this is a time where you're really going to have to put your trust in a higher power, man. Because, you know, you're not going to make it through these times that are coming on your own, man. Leaning into your own understanding. Thinking that you can prep or save your way out of this. No, man. If you don't have the Lord, you're not of his elect, man. You're not going to make it in these times that's coming. Because like the woman said in the video, it's going to be hell on all sides. You're not going to know what to do, man. You know, people are going to be in fear. They're not going to know what to think even in that day, man, because they never thought these times would happen. You know, mind you, these people are in the spirit of mirth all the time. They don't think America is ever going to go through any hardship. You know, they think this country can't be touched, right? Like Donald Trump tell them, you know, this is the strongest country in the world and all of this madness that these people believe. They don't think this stuff can ever happen to America that they see happening around the world in these other foreign countries. But these people are about to get that wake-up call, man, from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know, that, hey, he's going to bring judgment and evil upon this place as well, right? And I'm going to go to a precept just touching on that, right? This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. And I'm going to start at verse 16, right? It said, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter, right? And that word evils goes into the Hebrew word rai, which means bad times. So that's what Yahweh Shem Yahushua is bringing upon this world, this place, America in particular, you know, evils, man. You know, verse 17, for look how much the world, right, shall be weaker through age, right? So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein, right? That's talking about you 2/3 of the nation of Israel and you other heathens in this place, America, and the people of the world that the Lord is ultimately not dealing with. If you're not of the elect, right, you don't have that the wall on you, as it tells you in Ezekiel 9:4, that mark being exempt from judgment. If you basically don't have the angels of the Lord encamped around about you in this time, you know, to deliver you from these said perils, then you're ultimately going to get caught up in it, man. You know, and that's what's going to come upon a lot of people, man. You know, that's why we say, Lord's will we be of the elect, because we know it's going to be some terrible times, man. And we're going to need that help from the fourth dimension, man, from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. you know. So I'm gonna get back into this video.
Street of where I live in real life, there's a 7-Eleven. So my sister and I go to 7-Eleven to check it out. No one is buying anything. A bag of chips is like $80 and nobody has $80. So also police brutality. Like the cops were being so mean to everyone.
Right. Because we know those times is coming. Like the woman said in the video, the cops were being mean to everybody. You know, everybody was basically against themselves, man. You know, and we see that spirit on the earth now. And the Lord said that that will happen in the last days, that, you know, Matthew 24:12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. So these people out here nowadays, they're already divided and don't care about each other as is. How much more when there's no power, when there's no resources, when there's no water, when there's no food, when all of these things that they have now, this internet, these phones, all of that stuff is taken away from them, man. When this grid collapses, because we know this grid is going to collapse, man. It's only a matter of time. Because in order for these devils to bring in their new world order system in that MOTB, they got to do away with this current system that we're up under, right? So it's only a matter of time before this actually happens, right? So I'm going to go to a precept, you know, just touching on what she was talking about how basically the police, you know, were basically against the citizens, man, you know. And the Lord said he's going to do that over here to this place, America. This is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And it said, and I will set the Egyptians, right, against the Egyptians, meaning you modern day Babylonians, you Americans, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. These are the times that we're stepping into that are going to be happening, right? When people are going to be wanting demands and answers of what's taking place and they not going to have an answer. Because mind you, these people, mainly our people, the nation of Israel, the 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you ultimately didn't listen or hearken unto the men of the Lord, the prophets that he set up on the highways and hedges, starting with the men of Great Millstone, to warn you of what is coming. You people are going to be off guard, man. So you're not going to have any choice in that day but to react carnally, man. Because like I said, when people feel like, or in their mind, they have nothing to lose, right? People just bug out, man. And that's what you're going to have a lot of people doing in these times. Just losing control, just doing all type of madness and bugging out because they're not going to know what the hell time we're in. They're not going to know that the Lord is judging this place. They're just going to think all hell around them is breaking loose. And these people are going to, you know, become, you know, more wicked and sinister, man. You know, but these are the times that we're coming into, you know, very deadly, serious times, you know. And I'm actually get another precept, right? Just touching on the times we're coming into, because we know 2nd Esdras chapter 15 is about to come into play very quickly. We see that now with the start of these many protests that they have going on throughout the U.S. And we know these events are going to get worse. You know, they're not going to just stay normal forever and, you know, peaceful how they are somewhat now. These things are going to get out of hand very soon, man. Right? You're going to see that civil unrest and that uproar of the people happening in America, man. Right? So I'm going to get that. Matter of fact, this is 2nd Esdras, chapter 15. And I'm going to go straight to the point. Right? I'm going to start at verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Woe meaning destruction, because that's what the Lord is about to bring, man. You know, a whole bunch of destruction, especially to this place, America, Babylon the Great, right? Spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Verse 15, for the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, right? Hence what you seen the woman talking about in her dream, how you basically had the police that were against the people, right? Because like I said, when you have all hell breaking loose on a global scale in this place, America, people are not going to be worried about protecting those civilians and protecting these Babylonian people. They're going to be more so worried about protecting themselves, man. That's what it's going to be out here in these times, right? That's why it tells you in this verse, I'm going to go straight to it. This is 2nd Esdras 15 and 19. It said, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, right? So these people are not going to have pity upon one another when this chaos begins to ensue in these inner states and cities, right? They're going to be all caring about themselves, worrying about how they can eat, worrying about how they can get power, worrying about how they can continue to live and survive. It's not going to be about you, man, and your family. It's all going to be about themselves. This is going to be the mindset of these people in these latter days, man. And they're already like that now at a small scale, you know, but it's going to continue to get worse as these judgments or these plagues, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to pour upon this place, America, right? But it said, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, right? And spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation, man. That word tribulation again, right? I'm going to look that up. You know, that word tribulation. And the meaning of the word goes into a time of suffering, affliction, or distress, right? And that's what the Lord is getting ready to bring, you know, a whole bunch of distress, right, upon these people, man. Because like I said, they're not going to be expecting these things when they come. It's just going to hit out of nowhere because they haven't been watching. Mainly our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you know. So when this stuff does come upon you, you know, it's going to take a huge toll on you because you wasn't expecting these times to come and you didn't prepare for them spiritually, man. So you're going to be naked in these days, right? That's why it tells you in Isaiah 33:6, right? And I'm going to get that precept. It tells you, and wisdom and knowledge, right, shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So the only thing that's going to keep you ultimately stable in these times is having the wisdom and knowledge of the scriptures, man. And that's what these people here in the world do not have. So when these events actually begin to take place, they're not going to be stable, man, right? Hence why you're going to have so many people going crazy, so many people bugging out, so many people losing their minds, so many people just, you know, doing whatever, man, because they're not going to know what to do in these times, man. But the men of the Lord, the elect, Lord's will we be at that number. We're going to be stable in these times, brothers and sisters, when this hell does come, you know, when all of these evils begin to arise in this place, right? So I'm going to get back to the video so we can finish listening to what the woman is saying. But these times are fastly approaching, brothers and sisters. Like I said, you know, these evils are coming, man. You know, and that's why we prepare ourselves now through the Spirit, you know, so that when these times do come, that, you know, Yahweh Ratazah will be of the Lord's elect, that he has mercy upon us, man, you know, because these times are coming, man. You know, we're about to step into it. Like I said, you got a lot of people that are having these dreams, man, about all hell breaking loose in America, man. And the Lord is not doing that for no reason, man. He's allowing these people to know what's to come, man, you know. And, you know, mainly warning his men and women, you know, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, you know, and there's also speckled birds that may look like the heathen nations, but their seed line also goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the Lord is pouring out his spirit upon all flesh, as I read earlier, warning people of what's to come, man, you know. And like I said, if you're not protected, you know, spiritually in these times by the Lord, then, you know, hey, you're not going to make it, man, you know. That's why we say hopeful elect, because we don't know if we're going to be at that number to be delivered or to be saved through these perilous times. But we pray and hope that we are, right? So I'm going to get into this video.
So mean to everyone. So I stole, if you stole food, like even like a little seed, you're done. Like you don't even, we even have no idea where they sent you. Probably to like some crazy concentration camp jail, I don't know. But, so, no power, no gasoline, no money, no homes, no buildings to hide in, complete chaos, fire, everyone was cold, inhumane, angry, not nice, famine, forgot to explicitly.
Right, you heard what she said? She said famine, and I'm going to get back to where I left off at. And 2nd Ezra chapter 15, right? Because all of these things are coming, you know. All of these are part of those plagues that, you know, Yahweh Shem Yahushua is going to bring in these latter days upon this place, America, you know. Famine, you know, teeth of wild beasts, food shortages, you know, all types of things, pestilences, you know, all types of different judgments that the Lord is going to pour out upon this place, man, you know. And that's why we're going to need that divine protection, man, to get through these times, because it's going to be so chaotic, man, you know, so evil out here and wicked, you know. And I'm going to get into this precept. This is where I left off at 2nd Ezra chapter 15. I'm going to read verse 16. It said, for there should be sedition among men, right? hearing what the woman said, the police wasn't nice to the people. You know, the people were against the police officers and things of that nature. Is going to be complete and utter division, man. Anarchy, right? And invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions stand in their power, right? In verse 17, as you heard the woman say in the video, she said that there were concentration camps set up. People wasn't able to really move around freely. If you did something, you know, they made you pay a penalty for it. So, I mean, hey, Esau is getting ready to lock this place down, man. You know, he's trying to come with that new world order, right? It said a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? And you won't be able to go anywhere freely because, like I said, they're going to have a lot of these cities blocked off, man, with military checkpoints because you're going to have martial law in place around this time, right? And we see that already coming on a small scale with all these protests and all of these different things with them implementing the Marines and the National Guards. So like I said, none of these things are far-fetched, man. These things are coming, you know? And this is verse 18. It said, for because of their pride, right? The city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, right? And we know ultimately, you know, pride goes before destruction and the haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16 and 18. And these people here in Babylon, the Great America, you know, these men and women here, you know, these Edomites, the 2/3 of our people, these people are very proud, man. So that's why the Lord is about to bring forth all of these different types of, you know, plagues or evils upon these people, man, due to their pride, right? It tells you that in Proverbs 11 and 2, when pride cometh, then cometh shame. But with the lowly is wisdom, right? And I'm going to look at that word shame also for edification's sake, because this is the state that the Lord is going to have these people in, man. Mainly 2/3 of our people, you know, for not being obedient, not taking heed to this word, you know, despising it, right? They're going to go through a lot of turmoil in these times, man, right? The definition of that word shame goes into a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior, right? So a lot of our people in the times to come are going to know that the true men of the Lord was warning them all along to repent, to turn back, that these evils were going to come, right? And they shunned it off. They didn't take heed to it. They didn't want to, you know, believe what we were talking about, right? Just like in the days of Noah. You know, our forefather warned the people 120 years of the flood. They looked at him like he was crazy, you know, just like they look at us now when we're out there teaching on the highways and byways. They say we're crazy. Oh, that stuff will never happen. You know, all of this, right? But when it does happen, right, these people are going to be in a shameful state, right? And that word shame goes into what I read again, a painful feeling of